Israel has escalated its campaign in the West Bank, and it has delayed the release of Palestinian detainees, putting the ceasefire at risk. And yesterday, during the funeral of the slain Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah in Beirut, it sent a message with its jet fighters flying over the funeral. I think all these actions are combined to have one message, which is that Israel is trying to change the rules of engagement in the region. And Israel is proving day after day that it has made significant military achievement in many places in the Middle East, and now it has the upper hand and is trying to translate this into a change of rules of engagement for its benefit. Today, the West Bank is witnessing one of the biggest operations since 20 years. And I think the Israelis have realized that without putting pressure on Hamas and Palestinian factions in the West Bank, the issue of Gaza cannot be resolved.
So we're just days away from the end of the first phase of the ceasefire. Are you surprised or concerned at where things are now? Do you have confidence that the second phase can start?
I think the ceasefire was fragile from the beginning, and there was a lot of question marks about how long will it hold for. But I think that all sides want the ceasefire to continue, and delaying the release of detainees for a few hours or 3 days won't make a big difference. It's just for political gain, and it's just for domestic image, for the Prime Minister's domestic image, to show that that the government has the upper hand. I think that Hamas and Israel want the ceasefire to continue for many reasons. Hamas wants a break from fighting, of course, and Israel wants to focus more on the West Bank. Also, both sides and the US are waiting for next week's Arab summit. And I think there is some kind of understanding behind the scenes that everything has to go right and by the book, and the ceasefire has to continue the first phase at least until the Arab stance, the unified stance, is clarified and announced. And there is some kind of discussion that starts with the US administration about what happens next in Gaza.
In terms of the Arab summit, of course, delayed for a couple of days for logistical preparations. In terms of the plans for a rebuilding of Gaza, what is the hopes that that could look like?
I think there are many ideas from different countries, but the main plan on table now is an Egyptian 5-year reconstruction plan that focuses at first on the basic needs and infrastructure and moving mobile homes into the strip. This is the most detailed plan on table yet. I think, we know from our sources that since last week, since the mini summit happened last week, the discussion was opened to receive more ideas. And there is ongoing behind the scenes discussions and negotiations to put a unified plan in place before the Arab summit happens next week.
In terms of President Trump, do you expect him to put his finger or his hand into any of this at all? Of course, he's taken responsibility for the ceasefire even happening in the first place. What do you think his role will be, if anything at all, in terms of the rebuild?
I think the U.S. proposal, the shocking U.S. proposal of displacing the Palestinians and owning Gaza, has opened the door for other countries to step in and try to find a counter idea or a counter proposal. And I think this was a kind of a pressure on the Palestinians and on the Arab states to find some kind of a try to reach some kind of a comprehensive deal. There is some similarities, by the way, with what's happening in Gaza and with the Ukraine war. And this is what the administration is doing, finding where it hurts the most and pressuring to reach a settlement. I think this was a way to pressure the Palestinians and the Arab states. The only problem with the U.S. proposal and the only problem with the U.S. ideas, or the main problem, is that this vision, which is aimed at pressuring all sides to make concessions and reach a deal, is closer to the Israeli vision than the Palestinian and the Arab vision for the Middle East. So it's very hard to see it happening. But what could happen is that the Arab states would come up with a unified plan, like we said, and then open the door for discussions with the US on coordinating a plan for the future of Gaza.